He had everything: money, power, influence, but none of it felt real anymore. Adrian Cole, a billionaire known across industries, sat alone in his glass-walled office overlooking the city he practically owned. Every smile he saw felt rehearsed, every handshake transactional. People respected his wealth, feared his power, but no one truly saw him. And that thought ate at him more than any business loss ever could. One night, after yet another hollow charity gala filled with fake admiration, Adrian made a decision that would change his life forever. He would disappear, not completely, but enough to see the world without the lens of his wealth. No designer suits, no private jets, no assistants whispering in his ear. Just him, stripped down to nothing. Within days, he transformed himself, worn-out clothes, messy hair, a tired expression, and stepped into a world he had only observed from a distance. A world where people struggled, where kindness wasn't bought, and where survival meant everything. He wandered through streets, sat at bus stops, and even spent nights in cheap motels, observing how differently people treated him now. The same man who once commanded rooms was now invisible, or worse, dismissed. Some ignored him, others looked at him with suspicion. It was a reality check harsher than he expected. But then, one afternoon, hungry and exhausted, Adrian stepped into a small roadside diner. It wasn't fancy, just a quiet place with old booths and the smell of home-cooked food. He didn't even have enough money for a proper meal, but he sat anyway, hoping to gather himself. That's when he noticed them, a woman and her young daughter sitting across from him. The mother looked tired, her clothes simple and slightly worn, but her eyes held warmth. The little girl beside her smiled innocently, unaware of the struggles around her. Adrian tried not to stare, but something about them felt different, genuine. As the waitress approached Adrian, he awkwardly asked for the cheapest item. Loud. It wasn't until he gently spoke that she looked up, her eyes red, guarded, and filled with a pain that no one should have to carry alone. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice calm but sincere. She almost laughed at the question. Okay. How could she explain that her entire life had just been erased in a single evening? Instead, she shook her head slightly, unable to find the words. He didn't push. He simply sat down at a respectful distance, giving her space, yet making it clear she wasn't alone anymore. For a few moments, they sat in silence, the falling snow filling the gaps between them. Then, quietly, she spoke. Not everything. Just enough. Enough for him to understand the weight she carried. Enough for him to see the injustice of it all. He listened without interrupting, without judging. And when she finished, there was no pity in his eyes, only understanding. That was new to her. She had expected sympathy, maybe even awkward comfort. But not this steady, quiet strength. After a pause, he said something that caught her completely off guard. "Come with me." She blinked, unsure if she had heard him correctly. The world didn't work like that. Strangers didn't offer lifelines without expecting something in return. She studied his face, searching for hidden intentions, but all she saw was sincerity. "I'm not asking for anything," he continued gently, as if reading her thoughts. "You don't deserve to be here in the cold. No one does." His words were simple, but they carried a weight that reached deep into her broken heart. For the first time that night, she felt something shift inside her, a tiny spark of hope struggling to survive. Still, fear held her back. Trust wasn't something she could give easily anymore. He didn't rush her. Instead, he stood up, took off his coat, and placed it beside her. "If you change your mind, I'll be right over there," he said, stepping a few feet away to give her space. It was a small gesture, but it spoke louder than anything else. Then, 1 week later, a sleek black car pulled up outside the diner. People turned their heads as a sharply dressed man stepped out, clean, confident, almost unrecognizable. It was Adrian. But this time, he wasn't hiding. He walked inside, his eyes searching until they found Sarah and Lily. They stared at him, confused, unable to connect this man with the one they had helped. Adrian approached them, his voice filled with emotion. He revealed everything. Who he was, why he had done it, and how their kindness had changed him. At first, Sarah was speechless, even a bit overwhelmed. But Adrian assured her that nothing about her actions went unnoticed. In fact, they had changed his entire perspective on life. Days later, Sarah received an offer, one that would transform her future. Adrian ensured she got a well-paying job with flexible hours, allowing her to spend more time with Lily. He also covered Lily's education, making sure she would have opportunities far beyond what Sarah could afford. But more importantly, Adrian didn't just give them money, he gave them stability, respect, and recognition for their kindness. As for Adrian, he changed too. His business decisions became more human-focused. He started initiatives to help struggling families, funded programs to support single parents, and ensured that kindness, not profit, became a core value of his empire. All because of one simple act from a mother and her daughter. The story didn't end with wealth or success, it ended with something far greater, humanity. Because sometimes, it's not the rich who change the world, it's the kind. And if this story touched your heart even a little, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Because stories like these remind us that kindness still exists, and it has the power to change everything.